You smell what The Rock is cooking.
Acknowledge me.
You don't know what hard times are, Daddy.
We are bad to the bone. Get it? Bad to the bone.
Tell me when I'm telling lies.
I'll fight anybody. Who do you want? Just let me fight him.
Let me tell you something, Jim Ross.
Mega powers, yeah.
Hogan, we got it for you.
No! We are the best of the best.
Woo! Wheeling, dealing.
Smart marks.
And that's the bottom line, cause Stone Cold said so.
Welcome to Talking in the Building, a pro wrestling podcast where we focus specifically on the promo. This is Adalid out here on the West Coast, joined by my homie, my compadre in pro wrestling, Adrian out in Atlanta. Shout out.
What up? What up? How you feeling, man?
I'm good, brothers. You know, just feeling it, and I'm thinking that's gonna be a good night to talk about the landscape of pro wrestling as a whole. We start tonight, but also tonight we're gonna be doing our Dusty review and one of those big returns that feels like the superstars are really really performing right now. I mean, I think it's hitting on all cylinders. But shout out to our other co-host Greg, who usually joins us at these Dusty reviews, and he'll join us next time. Definitely. So yeah. And if this is your first time listening to us again, check out that back out archive. It's a fluid conversation. It's real fun. We have a real good time here. And this is just part of it, right? The Dusty review these are short form conversations. We have much longer form conversations where we talk about an hour for different topic, historical, more comedy, more, looking at thematic pieces, whether it's managers, whether it's, characters, whether it's a little bit more historical, but really check out the back archive. But tonight, Adrian, I thought we kind of think about a little bit of the future, right? I feel like we're a little bit of a decision making also for a lot of wrestling fans financially, as it were. Right. So I'm going to start with this conversation here and think about this. It just seems like for the average fan, if you've been a fan for long enough, for decades as we have been, right? Mm-hmm. There was a point in time when wrestling fans and the wrestling landscape wasn't even advertising friendly, right? Let's say even the products that got advertised were a little more on the low rent side. Let's just be real. Sure. Let's call it what it is, right? And it changed. Yeah. I remember when Skittles became a sponsor. We're like, oh my gosh, it's Skittles. Yeah, that was a big deal. Like sponsored by Skittles. Holy, right. It's not 100 Collect. It's not Lugs anymore. Right. It's not even. It's not even other things.
What was that boombox? You remember?
Oh
that?
My gosh, I
the
do
weird
remember.
Shaped boombox.
Yeah. Oh man. So we're not just distances away in time, but just in terms of how much advertisers and companies see just wrestling as this thing, right? And definitely, Greg, every time we mention this conversation, he always says like, the veil's off, right? Like it's out there. We're talking about it. I want to think about this conversations out there in the ether. Is WWE essentially killing their core fan base by pricing them out? Because I'll be real, I've been to a couple of WWE shows post merger, and let's say those tickets were costing me an arm and a leg, and I wasn't even that far down. Yep. And this isn't, full sale. This ain't the Performance Center. We're talking about premium Raws, SmackDowns, PLEs and whatnot. And I guess my question is, are they forgetting hardcore fans that have been loyal for years? Are they trying to chase, a more money-making, more affluent audience? What does that mean to you? Or are we somewhere in between? Because to me, it's like, I don't know. Do they want to be the next F1? I don't know if UFC, I don't know if that fits, or are they trying to make their own thing happen?
Well, it's interesting you asked that, because, I was literally having this conversation earlier with one of the homies. And, when the merger was announced, that was one of the first things that I said to a lot of you guys. I said, when it comes to ticket pricing, it's gonna continue to rise. It's just gonna continue to rise, because that's exactly how the UFC did it. It's right to the T exactly how UFC's done it, where the model is, we're gonna continue to raise premium prices because we want it. We're going to make the experience look cool. We're going to make it must see. You got to be there. environment wise, but price wise, the common man isn't going to a UFC show. Like nosebleeds for UFC are like $300. Like if you look up a UFC event, 9 times out of 10, the nosebleeds are $300. For a lot of us, that's way too much. That's ridiculous to be up for that amount. I don't know if you saw the it was like a little quote that came out from one of the guys, I think Shapiro of TKO, and he was basically talking about like it's still more room for growth as in ticket prices. So that's all I need to hear is y'all are gonna the prices, us complaining about the prices, that's not ending. It's gonna only get worse.
Yet.
And when it's said and done, they can always go overseas because they're so hungry for a product. They're going to spend whatever you want, as evident of WrestleMania, as evident of all of this European tours that they've done. While us, they're saying, hey, you have access through streaming service. You have access through television. And basically, they're doing the same thing that UFC did basically 10 years ago. This is the same exact model.
Yeah.
And I experienced that because I'm a UFC fan also. I saw it also. So I think it's the same thing. And it's the weird thing about the quotes that he threw around. He said, yeah, Vince priced these shows to cater more to families.
Yeah.
And that's a very strange, not even strange, but it's kind of like the one person you would imagine, person you would imagine to say, screw these he was doing the exact opposite, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, man. So I do think, to answer your question, WWE is kind of pricing out their main fan base, but at least there are options to still watch. Maybe not participate like we want, but to watch is definitely there.
Yeah, it definitely feels like it's going to be a spectator sport more going forward. And like you said, if you really want to go to the show, you'll be super selective about what you do. I think gone are the days where you're like, I'm going to go to every WrestleMania. And but I think what's tragic about it is how quick it was.
Yes.
Because we're talking about WrestleMania 39 in LA. Yeah, it was expensive, as most WrestleManias tend to be, but it was still reasonable. Like, if you really wanted to go, you could pick up a ticket, even day off, right? I mean, that'll still happen regardless,
For sure.
But I think it's really dramatic how quickly it happened. Because I do remember UFC. I do remember the shift. And the conversation was more about, fighter pay and whatnot. And I don't think that's so much going to be publicized with wrestling salaries. I think it'll come out in the ether, but for the fan, it does feel a little bit like you're just going to have to be more selective about how you spend your money ultimately. But
definitely,
it's a different era. I will say this, just from my perspective, because I did read that quote about families. I'm like, so then it begs the question: who are they targeting then? It's like, if it's not families, then I mean, who are we talking about then? It's like
you would think
single people, people with crazy disposable income, or what does that look like nowadays?
It does kind of seem, and I only say this because of the exposure piece from UFC fight cards and stuff. You'll occasionally have pro wrestlers there, and they'll shout them out. Even hell, MJF was there,
right.
And they highlighted him. So I do kind of think that TKO's approach is, we kind of want corporate synergy. That's the best way to say it, because they have their bull riding, they have WWE, and they have UFC. So UFC currently has some crossover appeal because of the combat sport element. They want to pull more of that UFC crowd. And when it comes to the bull riding, I'm not a bull riding fan, but I'm pretty sure they're like, maybe they'll send out Sheamus out there or something just so people pay attention to it, So I think TKO's whole point is, obviously it's a successful business venture. They want to make as much money as possible. They see an opportunity to raise some money, raise some ticket prices. They're going to do it. And it's unfortunate. I mean, it sucks for a lot of fans who may not have that income. But like I said, luckily you're able to watch it if you have certain streaming platforms, if you have
VPN.
Exactly. Shout out Stream East.
There you go. But that, I think it'll be interesting to see also kind of the next generation of fans and how that's affected. And
that's true.
That
is true. That's a good point. That's a very good point. Like, is that a sustainable? Is that a sustainable model? Because if you're not inviting families, then you're technically not really inviting your next generation of fans. So exactly. That's a great point.
It's not generational, and you wonder, it's just going to be, and it's a different medium. People don't get together the way they used to. Like, it's just the dynamic of watching anything, any entertainment has changed, and who knows what it's going to look like in 20 years. Maybe it gets bought out by a bigger company at some point.
I think that's the plan.
Yeah, I think they're packaging it. They're packaging a lot.
Yeah.
Back to our mega overlord conglomerates, I guess.
That's it.
But anyway, that's gonna dovetail us into our Dusty review for tonight, because with that, there's a lot of moves. They have a lot of WWE definitely has a lot of disposable income, apparently, because they are signing people left and right. And they just signed one AJ Lee, who is now pretty much in the main event mix, literally week 1. Right, and is going to be about in a competing PLE that they set up to compete with another company effectively, and they're loading it up. So we're going to take a look at it tonight. So if this is your first time joining us, we do our Dusty reviews here. We rate them from 1 to 5 Dusties, and really it's depending on how we perceive it. This particular promo sets up the match that's coming up, for that WrestlePalooza event. But ultimately, to me, it plays so many different roles for everyone involved. So we're gonna pick it up definitely mid promo, because this is a long promo, y'all.
It was.
It definitely, we could have cut out a lot of it and definitely needed some editing. But we're gonna pick it up where let's say that Becky is already responding. And I'll reserve my thoughts.
You say it yourself. You don't care about anybody. He said it. You're selfish. You say it. Okay, you only care about 3 things. Okay, you care about CM Punk. You care about my husband's championship.
That you will never have.
And in fairness to you, you care about AJ Lee. And AJ, I read your book. I have some notes. But last week you talked about how you've healed mentally. But how are you feeling physically? Because in your book, you talk extensively about the damage that was done to your neck. How's that feeling right now, huh? How's that feeling right now? Because hey, Punk, you got into a blood feud with the man just because he took your crappy little bracelet because it had AJ's name on it. So how are you gonna feel when I am pummeling her face in? Okay? Because I am the greatest female wrestler of all time, and it's not just me saying it. Okay? Other people say it.
Nobody else says that.
I say it.
I like that.
Yeah.
Sports Illustrated says it. ESPN says it. Okay? And so that means that you're not an asset. You are a liability.
Well, first of all, Becky, thank you for reading my book. I did not read yours. But you're right. You made a good point. I don't know how my neck is going to hold up on Saturday. 10 years. It's been 10 years since I took a bump in this ring. I don't know what's going to happen Saturday. Just like I didn't know what was going to happen on SmackDown 2 weeks ago. I mean, I just skipped on out here and I saw your constipated face and I saw red.
I'm just gonna call a spade a spade. Becky got her juice back, man. We talked so much about Becky literally back to top. For me, for my money, she's back at it. And she was, to me, she was a star of this promo through and through. But I'm gonna bring it to you. What are your thoughts on this promo? And did it talk you into watching this random pay-per-view, bro?
I definitely agree with you. We talked about it past episodes that something was missing with this Becky Lynch character, as in a motivation, as in a worthy opponent. They tried it with Lyra. I'm a big, huge Lyra fan, but it's still work to be done with her. They brought Nikki back, and that was lackluster because, you know, it's just one of those things with Nikki Bella. Like, she is what she is. They went into the deep end, like you said. They went into the deep end and brought AJ back. Like, who knows how long they were actually negotiating or putting it out there. Like, should AJ or can AJ come back? Like, I wouldn't be surprised as soon as they brought Punk back. Like, it was at least on the table. You know, this is a worthy opponent. This is someone that can throw some shots right back at her. This is someone that can play right along with her on a comedy / tension angle. And that's currently where they are. So it's a lot of similarities between the two. And that promo presented that. Both have written books. I have not read either one of their books, sadly. Sorry, ladies. But both of them are loved and honored by a lot of us wrestling fans. And both pretty much led the division at different times. And now we're seeing two titans facing each other. And it just so happens that both are married to arguably two titans in the men's division of pro wrestling as overall. So it definitely talked the intrigue of this match, the intrigue of seeing AJ Lee, who looks wonderful. She looks in shape. She looks like she never left, you know, that sort of thing.
Age. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, man. Yeah. It's crazy. I'm really interested to see how this match shakes out because of the conflicts going on amongst the four competitors. And I like seeing a happy CM Punk. Someone that seems like a genuinely happy CM Punk. I like pissy Punk, but you know, both of us at one point we were CM Punk fans. I'm still a really big CM Punk fan, and I like to see the guy happy. So, you know,
it's interesting to see him in his element, and I think that was my biggest takeaway. It's like there's so many elements of that of the husbands rooting on their wives in a funny way. Like,
absolutely,
see,
they're
like
taking it backstage.
Seth Rollins,
they're taking it backstage. Yeah, and I like that.
Yeah,
that's a good,
and they're letting them roll.
look.
And I'll be honest, you know, looking back at it, it's like Becky obviously is like hitting all cylinders, but to your point, I don't think she can do this until she had the right dance partner.
Absolutely.
Love, you know, Nikki, great, you know, love that she came back, love that she's doing it. You know, maybe she had that, she was still green. She had that, not just ring dust, but mic dust.
Yeah.
Lyra, we've talked about it at length. But even AJ, I'd say, this is a critique I had, is it felt like, you know, not that wrestling isn't a performance, but it definitely felt more like a performance rather than reacting as Becky did. Like
a high school monologue or something.
Yeah,
right?
It felt very, very much like, all right, it's my turn. Like, let me, you know, say my piece now. But, you know, still obviously leaps and bounds beyond everybody who's been off for 10 years or whatever and just coming and throwing off into the deep end because it's still a, you know, it's an A-level crowd here who's expecting something huge, you know.
For sure.
And they will pound, and we know if you're going to misspeak or misstep, they will pounce on that. They are not forgiving.
Yep.
And they didn't. I think it went through it. You know, was it long? Absolutely. I mean, those are things they need to cut out. But this is the only, I guess, question I have long term in terms of what it is. I keep hearing this is a long-term contract.
Yeah.
So it just feels like this is a nice way to, get AJ, get everybody comfortable with this idea of her being back. And what better dance partners to do it with than these amazing, pro wrestlers who are gonna take care of her, and hopefully they come out on the other end and advance this feud that Punk and Rollins already have going, because
Absolutely.
I think that's the natural misstep, as you set them up here and then you divvy them up to do some one-on-one matches down the line. But
Absolutely. I love the potential of AJ Lee challenging Becky for that IC title. Like that title, out of all of those titles on the women's division end, really needed some shine. And I know when they made the decision to take it off Lyra in favor of Becky, I was like, because I never really saw Lyra at that level. In ring, hands down, one of top tier performers. But as an overall professional wrestler, as a personality, it was lacking. And that title was never elevated. That now you have an opportunity to do that, truly do that. You have Becky going on the deep end with someone who is a lot more confident about, even though it's a little rusty with AJ on her promo.
It is.
It is what it is, but it's something super authentic about that. And that's something kind of enduring for me, because we haven't seen her in over 10 years. So she should be a little rusty. If she wasn't rusty, then what the hell? Why weren't you here earlier? So I like the idea and the long term prospect of AJ potentially becoming the next IC champ. I love that idea.
So look, we have 4 Hall of Famers, right?
Yes.
And everybody that we're talking about, like Lyra, we'll get to that. But we have 4 certified Hall of Famers. If Punk doesn't do anything for the rest of his career, he's a Hall of Famer. If Becky doesn't do anything, Rollins, same thing. AJ Lee, you could argue, but let's be realistic. This is adding to her legacy, right? This is
absolutely
reestablishing and reaffirming all these other women's wrestlers who she inspired with her generation, right? Namely, like, Roxanne is like the one that comes to mind. Beyond Becky, who is that next feud that makes the most sense, or that maybe you're most excited for to take on, that maybe we're not thinking about?
Man, I think the obvious answer is Roxy. You said it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Roxy, hands down, is the one that I'm most looking forward to. But to answer your question of what I'm looking forward to that people aren't really talking about, I want to see AJ Lee versus Tiffany Stratton.
Oh man, so polar opposites.
AJ may be that person to change the current trajectory for a Tiffany, because even though Tiffy is another example of a high level in-ring performer, but when it comes to personality, motivations is kind of confusing. And even though people love Tiffy, I don't see her as being like at that level.
She's not A tier, S tier. No.
Right. So I think, hell, having AJ feud with her would be really cool and really interesting.
Can you imagine the promos, like the way she put down the divas? Like, you're just another diva to me, basically.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, they write themselves. They're like, they take care of themselves. I'm gonna be selfish, and just because, like, come on, like, just the dynamic with the size, but like AJ Lee and Rhea, it's just that's a WrestleMania main event waiting to happen, right? But it's so interesting because so long, AJ Lee had her reasons and Punk didn't come back to the company, obviously, but coming back now, it's like, wow, you have it's your choice. You have so many people to choose from in terms of, and they must be dying behind the scenes. Like, no, let me have at it first, So
of course, yeah.
Luckily, she'll be around for years, apparently. So that'll be it. Give me your Dusty review. 1 to 5 Dusties. Where do you rate this at?
Okay, this promo or this segment, it talked me into the building prior to it. So I'm gonna give it 3.5 Dussies. Mainly because they've already talked me into the building. Like this was just a little extra fluff. I think that it's a little awkward having the two couples facing off. I would have imagined something a little bit more grandiose, as in a contract signing. Corey Graves or somebody at a table, standing in the middle between these two couples, and we, something to pump it up truly as a main event.
Some other frame.
Yeah. That's my critique, even though I will give them bonus points on the comedy element, like seeing Seth do something like, I cheer, I think so. Like, even though I think Seth is awful in that role, I was entertained with Seth. I was entertained with him. And again, I see a happy CM Punk. You see the dynamic of is these two, CM Punk and AJ Lee, are so in tune. They're just, they're still lovey-dovey and encouraging each other, while you have the little potential conflict of Seth blaming Becky for even being in this match or even having to deal with his rival. But then they turn the tables at the end.
The schemers through and through, right?
And it comes down to Seth being the master manipulator and Becky, having AJ down in the middle of the ring. It's intrigue. It talks you into the building. I'm still giving it a 3.5, but a high 3.5.
Man, you are very considerate. I agree with every point you made, except for the one where I still think they're not there, but I think they may just be saving a couple of, I think they're keeping a couple secrets here. I think they're saving some arrows. I'm going to give it a solid 3.
Okay.
And only because the pacing felt off. I think this is aside from the length.
Yeah.
Just the pacing felt off. It felt a little community theater-ish to me, to be honest with you.
It did.
It's like, all right, waiting for my cue. I think Seth to your point, Seth probably played the most organic role in the whole thing, because he's like being the annoying husband, like, yeah, that is my wife.
Right.
But through and through, I think what's going to pull him in is really going to be the women are going to be the centerpiece of this. And once they lock up and we see them, I think it's going to be a great match ultimately. But I'm curious where they take the storytelling. If this is the one and done, if this is just, okay, we're gonna pair them off eventually, and you're not going to touch for several months, maybe down the line at a bigger pay-per-view. It really feels, and I don't want to draw the parallels because it's not the same, but this is the vibe I'm getting. Very different scenarios, but I'm thinking back, if you remember Omega Bryan Danielson.
Okay.
Arthur Ashe, New York.
Oh, okay. I hear you.
It was a hell of a vibe. It's not the same vibe, but I'm getting that feeling of they made that match happen for a lot of reasons. Now we know it's like injuries and whatnot. But they only gave us the taste at that match. They gave us like a half hour, and then there's a draw, and then nothing came of it, and then injuries happen and whatnot. This feels like they're teasing it. They're like, okay, we're going to give you a taste, we're going to leave it be, and then we'll come back to it. At least that's what it seems like. It's the best bet, because like you said, they're treating it like the theme of this was a more comedic, whereas down the line they could really sink themselves into like, no, like this is a real serious feud.
Yep.
Let's go toe to toe, and let's knock off this comedy nonsense and get to it. But anyway, for everyone listening or watching us here, let us know, what is your Dusty review? Are you excited about this return for AJ Lee? Are you tired of seeing CM Punk, Seth Rollins, Baker as it tapped you out at this point? Or what's exciting you to see, these true Hall of Famers essentially taking center stage here? But again, this is Talk 'em in the building. Check out the back catalog. We have a lot of these short forms. We have some longer form content. Like, comment, subscribe. Talk 'em in the building. Catch us next time, and we'll see y'all soon.
Enjoy a whole full weekend of pro wrestling, y'all. We got WrestlePalooza all out. Like, not enough time in the day, man.
Not even, man.
Peace, y'all.
You don't know what hard times are, Daddy.